Long Island championships have been handed out, and now 4 teams from the island are headed up to Binghamton to play for state championships. Going to talk about that and so much more on this week's edition of Around the Diamond, your Tri-State baseball show on MSGVarsity.com and MSG Varsity channel 614. I'm your host, Kevin Devaney Jr., and as he said, 4 teams still alive trying to win a New York State title. Who are they? We're going to find out starting right now, and we'll start with what I thought was going to be the best game of the weekend, and that being in the LIC in Class A. And with Bayport, the defending New York State Class A champs, taking on a highly acclaimed and highly ranked division squad at Farmingdale State on Saturday. And this one lived up to the hype, and it was really all about that first inning. Division coming in, averaging 13 runs a game, got shut down by Jack Picos, and Bayport scoring 3 runs in the first, a big blow, an RBI double by Dan Campanelli. One of 4 Bayport hits in the first inning. Division starter Chris Riley really settled down after that. Only allowed 3 hits after the first inning, but this was all about Picos. He was the boss. The Maryland-bound star, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks, threw 5 pitches for strikes. Was phenomenal. Goes to 10-1 on the season, and Bayport goes back-to-back as county champions and as Long Island champions with a 3-0 win over Division. And Jack Picos, as I said, he was sensational in this game. Anyone who was there would tell you that those 7 innings he pitched, he could have gone about 4 or 5 innings more after that. They're going to need him for about probably 7 to 8 innings this weekend when Bayport goes back up to Binghamton to try and play for a state title. But right now, Bayport celebrating that championship. We spoke to Picos afterwards.
Undescribable feeling. I mean, after going 27-0 last year, and graduating 6 of our starting lineup, it was definitely, we felt like it was going to be a grind year, tough year, more of a rebuilding year. But, we kind of came together middle of the year, started picking up the bats, and just being able to come back, come to the LIC, win the LIC is just undescribable at this point. I mean, I'm so excited. I'm so high on life right now.
High on life right now, and they are 2 wins away from a state title, and Pico's going to probably get to start in the semifinals on Saturday morning, the championships later in the afternoon if they advance to get back to the state title. And Bayport going back-to-back as Long Island champions. They also did it in 2003 and 2004. So much to talk about Bayport, and just a rebuilding year, a grind year, Jack? Are you serious? This team has been off the charts, really kind of hitting their stride after dropping 2 out of 3 in the regular season finale series against Shore and Wading River, and the numbers are pretty staggering for them right now. They are 20-6 overall, as you said, the defending state champions, back-to-back Long Island and Suffolk County champions, and 64-2 over the last 3 seasons. They've outscored their opponents 23-2 in 5 playoff games. Jack Picos has been good and lived up to the hype for the Maryland-bound star, 117 strikeouts this season. And this is a team with only 4 seniors on the roster, so Bayport could be the second of 3, maybe 4 runs to a Long Island championship. And as I said, Picos is going to get a start this weekend, most likely on Saturday morning when they play in the state semifinals in Class A in Binghamton up at Union Endicott High School. Now in Class AA, who's going to be the Long Island representative headed up north? We had West Islip and Massapequa playing for the Long Island Championship. Had the stage all to themselves with the Sunday night showcase game at Farmingdale State. And this one, we talked about Bayport getting ahead early, and it was really much the same. This time, it was for West Islip, taking on, Massapequa, coming off that dramatic win in the Nassau County final last week. And they ran into Nick Arnold. The super senior was marvelous. Nearly 2,300 fans turned out for this one. And Sam Ilario, a leadoff triple, scored on a Matt Klein RBI single. Sam Vittorio, a 2-out single later in the first inning, and it was 2-0 early on. And really, Nick Arnold cruised along after that, only allowed 5 hits, 3 strikeouts. They knock off Massapequa in the championship. Massapequa trying to do a little dramatic again, put 2 runners on in the bottom of the 7th inning, but just couldn't get that run to score from third base. And so West Islip, their first Long Island Class AA championship, a 2-1 win over Massapequa, the reigning champs. And so now the schedule for this coming weekend. Oh, we forgot about this. West Islip, we spoke to them afterwards about winning that Long Island championship and heading up to Binghamton.
It's big. Baseball, you get many opportunities, but this is one of the greatest ones. I had a tough outing last time at Hills West to, unable to complete the first Suffolk County championship, but, we're coming back and we took the LIC.
Nick Arnold was unbelievable today. He pitched like a man. James had those 2 huge starts in the playoffs, everyone's like, you got to go with James, you got to go with James. But there was no way in the world that Nick Arnold wasn't getting the ball today.
So Nick Arnold, James Corey, they're two aces. I don't want to call one an ace. They're both aces. They're going to lead West Islip to the state Final Four on Saturday. The full schedule of games taking place in Binghamton this weekend for the Class AA and A representatives from Long Island. First, you're going to have West Islip going to take on Victor, your Section 5 champions from Western New York. And if they win that, they move on to the state final later in the day. They're going to take on either Ketchum or Shenendehowa from the Albany region. Shenendehowa 23-1, Ketchum 23-2 on the season. Then the Class AA semifinals are at Maine Endwell High School. And the Class A semis, Bayport Blue Point going to take on Sutherland of Western New York at 10 a.m. The winner takes on either Rye or Averill Park. At Rye being from Westchester, Averill Park from the Albany region. Again, 4 p.m. championships, double headers if you're going to try and win a state title. And Bayport trying to do it for the second year in a row. Really, I don't want to say unprecedented, but very difficult to do. Really, Class AA, of course. You know, I think Class AA, you're going to run into your all-star pitchers, your all-state first-team pitchers you're going to run into. But Class A is the biggest grind. It's like you gotta pitch, play defense, and hit. If Bayport can pull this off back-to-back, that's going to rank amongst really one of the greatest accomplishments by any Long Island school in state tournament play. One team's run to a state championship ended, and that being Mattituck. And they had to win the Long Island championship. They took on Wheatley, the county champions, and Mattituck coming all the way 60 miles across the island to take on Wheatley, and they knocked them off with a 9-2 victory in the LIC in Class B. Joe Tardif, the sophomore center fielder, went 4 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 runs, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. Mattituck beat Wheatley 9-2. James Nish, a 2-run triple. Cameron Burt pitched a 4-hitter with 6 strikeouts, a complete game effort. As we said, Mattituck went 60 miles just to play for a Long Island championship, and then they had to get back on the bus the next day to try and get to Binghamton to play in the regional championship. They had to travel 101 miles for the regional championship, taking on Rhinebeck High School at Mamaroneck, and they ran into Rhinebeck squad. When all is said and done, I think Rhinebeck, the team from Westchester, is going to end up winning a state championship. They knocked off Mattituck in the regional final, and they did it with some hitting. This being a mammoth blast there by Ryan Aquino in the second inning. Rhinebeck already had a 1-0 lead. That was a 2-0 lead. And really after that, Angelo Spedafino for Rhinebeck just shut the door. 6 1/3 shutout innings. And Mattituck blanked in the regional championship. And Rhinebeck coming away with a 3-0 win right there. Chris Pennell getting 2 strikeouts to end it after Mattituck put 2 runners on, had the tying run at the plate, back-to-back strikeouts for the reliever, and Rhinebeck comes away with a 3-0 win. A lot of people ask me how far that home run traveled that we saw at the top of the highlights. Off the school there in Mamaroneck High School, about a 400-foot shot. But again, tough end for Mattituck, and a team with a lot of underclassmen. And you know, as we said, we talked about Joe Tardif, the sophomore. A lot of underclassmen on this Mattituck roster. I think Mattituck will be back in the state tournament next season. We moved down to Class C, and we said there's 5 classes and 4 teams still playing. Pearson might be the team that nobody expected, especially after the way their LIC went on Friday. They took on Friends Academy, the Nassau County champions, in the LIC in Class C, and they got no hit, but it didn't matter because they still won the game 1-0, knocking off Friends Academy, scoring on a sacrifice fly for the only run of the game. You gotta feel bad for Friends Academy starter Matt Feinstein. Friends Academy had so many chances in this game to try and push across the run, some double plays, and you see right there Pearson getting the out they needed. Johnny Chisholm was the guy who walked and scored on Aaron Shivani's sac fly that put Pearson in the regional final against Haldane from Putnam County in Section 1. And finally the bats broke out for Pearson in that one. They knocked off Haldane 5-1. Tim Markovitz 2 for 2, 2 RBIs, a double, and a stolen base. And Pearson Bridgehampton comes away with a 5-1 win in the Class C regional final, and they're moving on to the state Final Four up in Binghamton this coming weekend. And as I said, they're headed there. And you know, I speak to Eddie Margulies, our expert, afterwards, and he said he thinks they have a very good shot of winning. We spoke to Pearson afterwards about shaking off that no-hitter and earning a berth in Binghamton.
Well, last game we got no hit, and we staged our bats, so we best them all good luck. And our fielding was incredible. Hitting came alive, and it was a great feeling.
We were much more patient at the plate and smarter. Yesterday we were a little anxious, jumping down on pitches we shouldn't have been. Today we waited for our pitch, and when we got it, we drove it, and we just played smart baseball. We stole a lot of bases, and we just played great baseball.
Credit to Pearson Bridgehampton. To me, being no hit in and still winning a game, it's going to end up being, I think, a footnote in history. I just think Pearson Bridgehampton just has everything going for them. They're heading up to the state Final Four, and I think they have a very good shot to win a state title. And we'll see how that works out for them on Saturday. Be sure to follow MSGVarsity.com all weekend long for our coverage. Now, Class D. Itty-bitty Class D. Smithtown Christian, the lone representative from the island, took on Coleman Catholic of Section 9. There is no Section 1 teams in Class D. There's only really just three teams in Section 9. Coleman Catholic, the representative, they won a state championship actually 2 years ago. Smithtown Christian, though, comes away and knocks off the Section 9 champions 8-2. That game was on Saturday at Farmingdale. So Smithtown Christian, as we said, you don't hear a lot about them during the season. They're really the small school on the island, and they're going to represent the island and try and win a state championship. So 4 teams from the island headed up to Binghamton this coming weekend. Smithtown Christian in Class D is that squad. So congrats to them. And now we're going to take a look at the Final Four schedule. As you see them celebrating their championship at Smithtown Christian. It's just a very subdued title. I think they have their eyes set on winning a state title in Class D. It's going to be a tough road for them. Class D baseball is actually, as a whole, it's better than people give it credit for, because across the state you have so many private schools that play private school at the small levels. So we're going to take a look now at the Class C and D schedule. And here they are for the Long Island squads headed up there on Saturday to Binghamton. In Class C, the semifinals, there will be at Conlin Field. Pearson Bridgehampton going to take on Bolivar Richburg, I guess, powerhouse program from Western New York, Seton Catholic and Hoosick Valley at 1 p.m. in the Class C semifinals, and the Class D final will be at 4 o'clock. Excuse me, Class C championship is at 4 o'clock. And on the Class D side, those games are at Broome County Community College. Smithtown Christian going to take on Notre Dame, and Hancock takes on Hooverton Central at 1 p.m. And again, Class D championships at 4 p.m. And now on to the poll, where this week's show I considered wearing a brown paper bag over my head. I'd like to thank the teams from New Jersey for really screwing up our poll this week. They did a fantastic job doing that in the state semifinals and finals. Of course, I'm just joking around, but you're going to see a lot of craziness in the next, about 2 minutes as we reveal our top 20 poll. And really, it's not just New Jersey. It was really all over the place, and just the movement that we had. We have a new number 1 for the 4th week in a row. And we have some teams that were not ranked pretty high up, and you're going to see that in just a moment. Let's start now at the bottom of the poll, our bottom 5 teams, starting with their Class A champions from Section 1, Rye High School, 22-4. When you hit the ball the way Rye does, and you get the pitching of George Kirby and Luke Meyerson, you belong in the top 20 in the Tri-State, and Rye is there after being not ranked all season long. Our number 19 team, losers in the state championship, but going to stay right where they are. Number 19 in the poll from New Jersey, that is Mount Olive at 23-7. Entering the poll, 1 win away from a PSAL championship from New York City, and that is our number 18 team is Tottenville at 18-2 in league play. Our number 17 team is a team that just got eliminated last night in the Connecticut State Tournament, Fairfield Ward, so they're staying in the top 20s, most likely going to be pretty short, 1 week. Amity playing for a state championship in Class LL in Connecticut. And number 16, Hunterdon Central. I feel like their season ended a month ago. They're going to stay at the 16th spot, 21-4 on the year. Now to the 15. Team working their way up the rankings has a shot to surge up this weekend in Binghamton, that being Bayport Blue Point, your reigning Class A state champions, peaking at the right time, 19-6. Our number 14 team is Chaminade, another team that hasn't played in a while. Their season's over at 16-5. Your Catholic runner-up in Long Island and Suffolk, Nassau, Suffolk. And number 13 team, still playing in the Catholic League for a New York City championship, is Malloy, 18-3 overall in league play. Number 12 is Westfield from New Jersey. They are 20-4, dropping 6 spots to number 12. And our number 11 team is your champions from the Long Island Catholic League, and that is St. John the Baptist, 23-5, dropping 1 spot. So you saw some movement. You see teams, as you said, it's really difficult now. You don't want to penalize a team because their season's over, and especially a team like St. John the Baptist, who's, I'm sure they've had their graduation already, and a lot of their kids are on their summer break, but they are the number 11 team. They drop a spot. Now we go on to our top 10 team, where the biggest craziness of the season now begins. Number 1 all season long, Seton Hall Prep dropped to 7. Now they're number 10 in the poll. Now we're number 9 team. Spent a week as a number 1 squad, that being Don Bosco, dropping 4 spots at 19 and 9 in New Jersey. Number 8, Bergen Catholic vied. They're really a top 3 team all season long, now dropping 5 spots to number 8, 21 and 5 on the season. Our number 7 team, St. Joseph Regional. They were number 2 last week. They lose in the state championship in the non-public A in New Jersey. They're 24 and 6. That's how they finish. Number 6, state championship losers in Group 4 in New Jersey. Our former number 1, that being Roxbury, dropping 5 spots. 25 and 8 is Roxbury. Now we go into the top 5, where we're gonna put some disclaimers on some things. Now our number 5 team, moving up 4 spots, is your Long Island champion, West Islip. They're headed to Binghamton for the state Final Four in Class AA. They are 21 and 5. Now number 4 is Jackson. Your Group 4 public state champions, not ranked. That is not a mistake. They were not ranked last week. They go to number 4 in your poll. Pulled off some big wins. Really, they were like the 21, 22. They were on the doorstep last week in New Jersey. And now here they are as number 4 team, 20 and 7. That's not where it ends. Not ranked last week. Number 3 this week. St. John Vianney's, your non-public A state champions. How are you not going to put your non-public state champions in New Jersey in the poll, in the top 10, even in the top 5? They're number 3 at 20 and 7. So now you're wondering, who the heck is number 1? Well, number 2 first. That is RC Ketchum from Hudson Valley. They move up 6 spots. A couple big wins over the weekend in regional play. 23 and 3. They move up 6 spots. Your number 1 team in the poll is Poly Prep. They move up 3 spots, 21 and 3 in the season. Yes, their season is over. They're 4-time defending independent school champions. Now, Poly Prep is another school that most likely held their graduation, like most private schools. They basically end in like the end of May. And their school students probably out for the summer. They're gonna hear, hey, we're number 1 in the MSG Varsity poll. Don't get too comfortable, because we're gonna move some things around if, and only if, either Ketchum or West Islip win this weekend in the New York State Class AA Championship. If one of them wins the state title, we're gonna strongly consider where they are. Maybe they're gonna be number 1 in the poll. Maybe Poly Prep hangs on. Really depends on how they play. I'll be at all the games this weekend in Binghamton, and it's gonna be very fun to try and do, and I say fun loosely, very fun to try and do this final poll. I wanna thank everyone for tuning in to this week's show. I wanna thank Russ, Brian, and Bob, Eddie, Dan, and Chris for all the great work they do on the show. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy the baseball. Next week, we're gonna put a bow on the entire season. Thanks for watching.